So let's shift our focus to the folks watching, especially those that are looking for experience or they want to become a project manager. Because I know all of you, we all get those emails and messages all the time. What advice would you give people if they want to be a PM or they want to break into the role of a project manager? So it's a tough question.
I would like to just say start by starting. They say it takes 21 days to make a habit, but it really doesn't. It takes the day you start and the day you decide that you don't want to quit. So there's a lot of work that people are doing that can apply to project management, but just get out there and get the experience. Start volunteering, start partnering, start networking, see what you can do in the roles that you're currently working and even in your communities. And that's a big part about, I know my course is geared towards startups, but it comes from having varied experience with all kinds of different teammates who may or may not have come from the same background. But the most important thing is that we're all aspiring towards the same goal. So just getting out there and doing your part, I think is the best way to get started.
And let me just say, that's why I love your course. It's different than every course is different. Yours is very unique because it is geared towards startups. But a project is like a small business other than it's going to end. And so that's one of the things that I love about your course, because there is a knowledge that we can garner from having that business mentality, even a not-for-profit organization, about making that business value. Same idea in a startup. And so I think you hit the nail on the head. You got to start somewhere. Every one of this group started somewhere. So important. All right, who else has some advice you would give to those folks that want to break into this role of a PM?
So for me, sir, it always starts with the mindset. Of course, it's that day one aspect of it, right? But again, speaking to the veterans, when you look back on it, I've been a PM since I was 20 or about 22 years old, because I was leading teams. I just didn't know what it was called. I didn't know the way that I was doing certain things. I was providing a hybrid type of methodologies. I was doing stakeholder registers, work breakdown structures. We just call it something different. And another huge career, we've already mentioned it, that really a lot of people don't realize is teachers. I mean, my gosh, really it can be almost any career, but teachers, you've had it in you this whole time. So it's all about that mindset of knowing that you've had it within you. You just need a little guidance to let you know, hey, you've been doing it. And that's, kind of trying to bring it back to this course is this course does exactly that, to show you how you can implement what you've learned in this course into your own career right now. And then you can translate that into your resume to get new job opportunities or whatever it may be. So I think that was a big thing for a lot of people, is it starts with the mindset. And so many careers can do that.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things to say to people is you don't need the project manager title to do project management and apply the theory in real life. I deal with a lot of students nowadays, actually, and I tell those guys, you are running a 3-year project to get a bachelor's degree in the UK. You know the scope, you know the timeline, you know the risks of partying, getting girlfriends and boyfriends and going out in the nightclubs. Avoid those. But there's a lot of sort of parallels, and projects are going on all around you, no matter your career, your stage of life. If you've got a family, if you're young and starting out, there are projects happening all around you where you can apply these ideas, skills, and experience. So there's nothing that should be a barrier to stop you from getting stuck in and really building out your experience from day one.
I agree. Spot on. Dr. Chambers, they put you on the spot. What advice would you give to those folks?
Yeah, I've had a great opportunity the last couple of weeks while traveling to talk to a number of project managers, people on large projects, program managers. Have another meeting this week with program managers, people that worked on the 911 memorial and some of those big government projects. So I'll be with them this Thursday. And so they've already asked me that question, what's great about this? What do you think I should do? And so on. And my sort of standard answer so far has been that the broader your knowledge is, not just about the basics of project management, but your broader knowledge about human behavior, about how projects run, barriers, things that you run into, how to overcome things, that comes from other people most of the time. That comes from experience, but it also comes from just getting out there and doing it. So I think Pure offers, and I have, as you know, I don't know how many hundreds of project managers I've had to deal with over in my career, and they struggle. And most of my time has been going to lunch, going to dinner, connecting at breakfast, listening to them talk about where they're struggling or how to get something done. And the reason I think a lot of those conversations are there is because they don't have a broad enough knowledge about what the industry is about. They just sort of get in a silo of this is how you manage a project, and they don't think about the other things. You get that when you sit down, Dave probably knows this, when you sit down over lunch or breakfast or something, and you're just having this conversation and you're helping them overcome some of these things. But bottom line is what I've been sharing this past week while traveling was you need to get a broader knowledge than anyone can master certain things about projects, but you need a broader knowledge, and you need that from people who do it. You need that from people who are experienced in those areas. If it's startups, it's startups. If it's mentoring, it's mentoring. So that's really been my play on it, and I've gotten a lot of interest from people going, you're right. We have great project managers, they're very skilled, but the broader knowledge, skills, attitudes, habits, as they come up, then the whole project comes up. So that's kind of been my perspective up to this point.
Mm-hmm. Jeremiah, what advice would you give to those individuals?
I get asked a lot, of people talking to me about how do we get into project management? I always like to first understand the why, and I know I'm going with, why do you want to get into project management?
Sure.
Because it does matter. And a lot of them, what they have is they have what we call the owl brain versus the wow brain. Mm-hmm. And what happens is they're like, their limiting beliefs are not letting them truly, step into what they're capable of doing and understanding, how do I actually get in here? How will it serve me? And how can I serve others? And so very first thing I always run into is, I really want to step into it, but how can I do it? What can I do to get there? And it's like, first you have to get your mind right, which echoes back to what, Josh was saying, is you really got to understand, do you really want to do this? Do you have the mindset for it? Do you have the actual, the character strengths and the different depth and breadth and the skills needed? And we all do, but you have to believe it. And then once you believe it, you get to the wow brain. What's the opportunity? The minute you have that, everything's possible. You will speak, you will articulate your experience better. You will show up there to the job as a project coordinator, whatever you want, entry level, and you're going to show up believing you should be there. And once you believe you can be there, you can do anything. So one of the very first things I help them with is reframing that mindset. And then we can talk experience and breaking down the language and all that stuff. But if your mind ain't right, game over.
I love what Jeremiah just said, and even like piggybacking off of Jim a little bit too. It really is about believing in yourself. I mean, I know in our conversation, Joe, I told you I was the accidental project manager in disaster recovery. It took somebody else believing in me to make me realize that I had been walking in those shoes all along. And then that transition became easier for me to accept that was my role, that was my mission. And I think the years that I spent as a volunteer chapter leader and serving others and helping to bring in speakers, several of you who are on here had spoken for that chapter too, but bringing people into the mix to educate other people and just having those conversations organically with other humans about how to communicate, how to build relationships. Yes, project management from technical scope, budget, all of that is very important, but you have to understand the other people and the other players in order to get those components to come together. So I would tell people to volunteer. I think I probably learned more from my volunteer leadership than I did my years of experience working in siloed industries.
Sure.
So those experiences teach you a lot about yourself and others and how to get the projects accomplished.
Well, I think for those, we've covered a lot of things here, and really it's that coupling of mindset to action, right? And hopefully that if you have the right mindset around why you're pursuing your project management career, what you want to try and do with it, is then looking back and saying, what is a new lens I need to look through inside of the world, right? Yeah. Whether it's actually in your professional career or even, raising kids, setting up lunch, going on vacation, right? All of these are all little projects now that you can go and take to heart and actually understand, how can I apply all of these different aspects into not just my career, but organizing my life, helping to move the needle in all different capacities, right?
Right.